Hi, I'm Jeremy from Gooseberry Bridge Farm, and we are installing a manual well pump today. We have been worried since we bought this property back in 2016 about what would happen if we lost power, if we lost the ability to use our electric well pump. We have a lot of animals, we have a lot of humans, we have a lot of plants, and the common denominator to all those is everybody needs water. And if anything happens that we lose water, we're gonna start losing animals. Some of the things that make us really nervous are power outages. We live in the Midwest. It's not uncommon to lose power from an ice storm, from a tornado, any other thing that could happen. You know, if the power grid goes down for some reason, it doesn't really matter. We're in a bad place because we can't pull water out of the ground. Our well is over 300 feet deep, even though our static water line is higher than that. So our water is actually between 150 and 200 feet below ground. You can't get it out without a pump of some sort. So what we've been looking for several years is a way to pull water from the ground with a pump that doesn't rely on anything other than human power. So what we found was FlowJack. We met Cody, who's from FlowJack, at the Missouri Homestead Expo last year. We talked over at the expo. I really liked the design of their pump over a couple of others that we saw, and we talked, and he has agreed to come up today, and we're going to install one on our well. I will say, as a disclaimer, we're not being paid for this. We did buy the well pump from FlowJack, paid normal price, so this is not a paid endorsement. However, in order to provide some content for our viewers, we wanted to go through the install process, and Cody agreed to drive up from their offices in what town?
Mountain View, Arkansas.
Mountain View, Arkansas, which is about 3 hours from where we are. So he graciously decided to drive up and is going to help us do the install, and we're going to take you through that install here shortly. So I'll hand it to Cody, talk about FlowJack and what anybody needs to know about your pumps.
All right. So at FlowJack, we came out of a natural disaster in our area, and that happened that there was a big ice storm in '08, and it put people out of power for almost a month. And there was it followed by a tornado that just ripped through our county and devastated people for a very long time. And the owner and inventor was trying to figure out something to. He wanted a backup pump because they had problems with generators. There was no fuel. There was all sorts of problems going through. The roads going in are like mountainous Ozark roads, so you couldn't get a truck in there on the ice. And he started searching these companies out, and they were so expensive. He wanted to make an affordable alternative. And so over the years, we've came up with various designs, and Jeremy has gotten our latest pump model, which is the FlowJack Rigid, and it has a patented airlift. So our previous generation pumping at 200 feet was it was quite the feat.
A workout.
Yeah, it was almost impossible. And now our engineer, a brilliant man, has came up with a design to where there is a tank with air cylinders, and that tank will charge the air cylinders, and it will do the lifting for you. So it reverses the way that the pressure needs to be applied, and so it will lift the weight of the water column high for you, and all you have to do is push down. So it's an incredible pump. We'll get to see it. It's still at 200 feet. It's not as easy as we would want it to be, but it's a whole lot easier. And we make multiple pump models, and we recommend this one though if you have a homestead such as Jeremy, because with critters, one of our smaller pumps, you'd be pumping quite a bit to try and get some water out for them. This one puts out 3 to 4 gallons a minute with pumping, so I'm excited.
For people with a homestead like what we've got going on here, or even just a well of any kind, who is a good candidate for this type of backup well and who isn't?
So this particular model is going to require 2 inches and 1/16 of clearance. So as long as you have a 4-inch casing or larger, you could potentially fit it, but you're going to want to measure what your existing drop pipe size is, and that 2 inch and 1/16 is going to be the determining factor.
Okay, so when we bought this place, the well was in place already, so we didn't put it in. And the documentation we saw said that our well is 350 feet deep. If somebody calls and tells you that, what's your next question?
My next question for them is going to be, what's your static water level? Just like it was for you.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have to go through and determine what your static level is, because the maximum that we can pull water from is a 250 foot static. But we can get water from 5 feet down to 250.
So my research led me to figure this out for us. I didn't know what any of that even meant. So at just a real basic level, I'm going to try to explain that, and Cody, tell me if I get it wrong. But when they drill your well, you're drilling a hole straight down. And ours is 6 inches, and they put a 6-inch casing down, but it just goes straight down that far. The water, when that drill hits an aquifer or some sort of water source, the water backfills up the hole based on how much pressure is in that aquifer, and how high it comes up is your static water line. That will change as time goes on based on drought conditions, when it rains. All different criteria are going to cause that to change. So that static water level will change by 10s or 20 feet or more at any given point. How do you find out the static water line?
So that was really good, by the way.
That right?
Yeah, that was an awesome explanation. My favorite way to find the static level is just take a roll of cotton string from the hardware section in Walmart and tie, it's going to sound kind of crazy, tie like a small wrench, some form of weight on there, and then just pop your cap off and then drop it down there. Let it sink. As it's sinking, you're going to feel it in your hand, and then if it stops sinking, kind of jiggle it free to ensure it wasn't caught on a pipe or wiring or anything, and then just repeat that until you're confident, all right, this thing can't sink no more. Then you tie a knot there at the top of your casing to mark it, pull it out, measure from your knot to when your string started getting soaking wet. And then it'll be wet in various spots due to the condensation buildup in your well, but you'll be able to tell where it was soaking wet. And then you can be fairly confident, okay, this is my static water level.
Okay. Is there anything to be concerned with doing that? Because when I started to do this for us, it was kind of scary. I've never popped our well open before. Am I going to break something? I'm not an expert. Should people be afraid of this?
It can be pretty scary when you first open it up, because you're going to see wiring just kind of stuffed in there like a nest and various things. But as long as you can just kind of stay close to your pipe, it shouldn't be too scary.
Yeah, stay on the outside edge, and hopefully you're going to stay away from the good equipment in there, which is going to consist of the pipe that the water comes up once you get down a little ways. The pipe that the water comes out in is going to be below ground level, so you won't see that right at the top.
Right.
But you will have all the electric wiring, because there's electric wire that goes all the way down to that pump to power it. Okay. That strap to the bottom here plays into it. We don't really get the opportunity during the actual install video to talk a lot about this, so we wanted to come back after the fact and show you around the actual pump. First off, inside here, starting right here and going down 200 feet, is a series of PVC pipe that you'll see us putting in during the install video. It has an outer pipe and an inner pipe. When you operate a pump like this, you're lifting, and it's actually bringing up the inner portion of that pipe and then pushing air down to push the water up the outside. That's really difficult whenever it's 200 feet of pipe. It's very heavy, and doing that over and over and over to get a small amount of water on each pump. What the people at FlowJack came up with was this air assist. So we pumped this tank up with a bicycle pump to about 43 psi. That's kind of the sweet spot for 200 feet of pipe. If you have less pipe in the ground, if your static water level is higher than ours, and you only end up having 100 or 150 feet of pipe, you'll want less air pressure. You just kind of play with it. When we had up to about 60 feet of, or 60 pounds of pressure, this thing shot up on its own without any pulling on it. The problem with that is the easier it is to pull up, it's that much more pressure to push it down, bringing the actual water out. Therefore, you kind of want to find that sweet spot where it stays down on its own, but it's easy to lift. Right now, you'll see here the water's off, and to lift this takes all I've got to be able to lift this up. I wouldn't be able to do this over and over and over. But currently we're at about 38 pounds of pressure. So it's not quite the full amount. A little bit it's bled off. I'm gonna open that up with the little release, and it lifts super easy. And it goes down pretty easy. So I can do this. This feels like I'm lifting about, I don't know, 20 pounds. Add a little bit of air pressure to the tank, it'd feel like I'm lifting even less. So it's completely reasonable to pump water out of this in an emergency. Would I want to use it every day? No, but that's not what it's designed for. It's designed for peace of mind and to be able to provide your family water in case power outage, your pump fails and somebody can't get out to replace it, or whatever other calamity might cause an electric well pump not to work. So yeah, we wanted to add this piece to actually show you why we have it, what the practical use is for us, and what sets us apart from some other pumps that we looked at. We researched this for a couple of years. So our goal in these videos is to share that knowledge with you so you can make an informed decision about what's best for your family. We chose this one partly because of ease of use and proximity to the company being just a few hours away from us. It made it easier to actually meet the people at the Ozark Homestead Expo, get to know them, realize that they were reputable people. We put hands on a couple of other brands. I won't get into names because I don't want to denigrate anybody. They all seemed like they would work. This one just seemed like the best for a deep well like ours. 200 feet is how far we put the pipe down. Our static water line is probably in the 170 range right now, which is a lot deeper than I thought it was. From what I read about some of the pumps that actually have a handle and you're doing this on these deeper pumps, you're only going to get a number of ounces per pump versus in this one we get pints per pump. Again, not a lot, but we'll get you by in an emergency. I encourage you to do your own research and learn all you can about this, because the more you educate yourself, the more you're going to feel comfortable with what you have once the bad stuff happens. Once you have a tornado or an ice storm or whatever and lose power, you want the peace of mind. I would be totally happy if I never used this and I paid a good chunk of money to never use it. It's like a really good insurance policy. That's the way we look at this. If you're looking at this differently, you might want to go a different direction. I hope that this has been helpful for you, and if you have any questions or you've done some research and want some insight from us on why we picked this one, or you've got a different one and want to share your story, please do so in the comments. We want this to be interactive. We want it to be educational for anybody who wants to watch it. Thank you.
You can hear one. Oh!
Yeah.
Just had to give it to you.
Yeah. Water!
Alright. Look at that. Now we'll hook up the air system.
So we just got finished. The pump works. It was a little trying at times, but we got it in, and I'm a lot more optimistic that people can do this on their own. It is a lot of work. You need help. You need at least 2 pretty strong people to put one of these systems in, and you need to know where your static water line is. I had a guess, but it wasn't right. Handily, we were able to work through it, and we've got water. So if you're interested in putting in one of these pumps, what should they do, Cody?
So if you're interested in a pump, just give me a call at 1-855-435-6525, and my direct extension is 250. And we try to put as much information available on our website as we can, but I know that everyone's well is a unique case, and you never know what you're going to get when you take that cap off there. So just give me a shout, and I'll walk you through what information you need and what options that we can do for you. And I'm really glad that you pointed out. Definitely, if you're going to use one of our deeper pump systems like what we just put in, you really need 2 people. That was a little bit intense. So
it gets pretty heavy. By the end, it's 150 plus pounds of weight that you're slowly easing into the hole. So the static water line, the size of the well cap, which ours was 6 inches, and I think that's pretty standard around here. But
right, your casing size is what you're going to want to know, and then your static water level. It helps to know your overall depth. But the main point is going to be your static water level, because we recommend going a minimum of 20 feet below that, and that's going to determine what pump kit you need. But your casing size is also going to be determining what pump model you can actually use, and that'll open up your options.
Yeah, the main thing I want to point out, if you're interested in this, is to actually call. You can research a lot online, and you can figure a lot of this stuff out, but I'm lucky because I got to meet Cody at an expo and asked a lot of questions. He guided me through the process of what I needed to find out, what I needed to do, what I needed to be prepared for. Got extra lucky that he came up and helped me install it, but I know that was not something everybody can do. But I guess where I'm going is call him. He will talk you through the process. Super helpful. He wants it to work, because if you order it online and it gets shipped out and you end up having problems, you're going to end up going through all this in panic mode. You'd much rather have all the questions asked beforehand and be prepared once you crack the cap on your well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, give me a call, and I'll walk you through anything beforehand. That way we're not trying to troubleshoot this down the road, and we can get it right the first time.
Cody, thank you.
Yeah, hey,
Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you so much for letting me come up and show me your farm. I've been eager to come up here and meeting you and knowing you're only 3 hours away. So this was really cool to come up.
Yeah, and I'm excited I'll sleep better at night next time that there's an ice storm coming, or talk of tornadoes or a windstorm, of knowing, hey, at least I can water the animals and have buckets of water if I need to.
Right. Take care of the neighbors.
Yeah.